You guys, we've waited so long. It's been over a year before we could get back inside Audi Field. And tonight's return could not have gone better as we go live here on Tried and True, the DC United Postgame podcast presented by Heineken. I'm John Lee, joined as always by Joshua Morgan, Michael Black, Sam Kastner, and guys,
I want to lay a ground rule right now up front live that I correctly predicted this game's scoreline, so y'all can't give me any nonsense.
All right, so Sam's on mute now.
I said 2-1. We won 2-1. No one else thought we were getting 3 points, so that's what positivity does to y'all.
That doesn't sound like a ground rule so much as just some kind of crystal ball nonsense.
It's patting yourself on the back.
I am absolutely patting myself on the back. I'm patting every DC United player on the back. I am so pumped that we just got those 3 points.
I have to say though, I mean, and I tweeted it from the account before the game. I didn't really care about the result tonight. It was about being back. It was about seeing friends.
Sweet getting the win.
Oh man, and we went down 1-0 and. I mean, it was
a bummer. Pretty quickly.
No, it wasn't great. But the way in which we came back.
Yes. So for those of us who don't follow us on Instagram, we were a little bit split up. Joshua and I were sitting in one area. John and Black were in another, just because of the way they're doing ticketing.
Which real quick, and I hate to cut you off, but the pods are absolutely necessary in terms of social distancing. They absolutely suck in terms of being with all of your friends.
But
so
also,
I get it. You have to do it.
I'll take it if it means we can be in the stadium.
100%.
It was unfortunate I'm watching with you all. I'll take it.
But it did. And I was motioning to you guys. I don't know how much you were looking back at us. But
not
I was
at all.
Trying.
We were in front of John. Not at all. I was not looking back at you.
The whole time. I was looking for you, John. So
I knew I liked you back.
I mean, I was standing next to him and I didn't see him at all. So.
Anyway, they scored the first goal. I turned to Joshua and I said, this is what matters. It's like whatever with everything else, but we got scored on within the first, 15 minutes. And if you recall to last season, that was when the team, there was a 15 minutes beyond being scored on that we just looked down in the dumps and sad. So I looked at Joshua and I said, this is where it matters. And from the kickoff, we were on the front foot. They did, obviously, I'm sure they cared that they got scored on, but it didn't look like it. They were still pumped and raring to go. And then we got one back and we got another one before the half.
If I'm being super honest, when the first goal goes in, I start to go down the same road that we went last year. And the year before, and the year before that. This is it. The other team's just going to dominate play for the rest of the game, and we're going to be screwed.
Well, the goal was not against the run of play.
No, absolutely.
You were not surprised to see NYC put in a goal there. They had been going forward. They had been looking threatening. And frankly, it was not a great goal to give up. You left a number of players unmarked on that side of the field. It very much seemed like a symptom of
the 3-5-2. The three in the back. There was no one marking. I think it was Tinnerholm or whoever was wide open on that right flank. They had the entire half of the field to themselves.
Well, and Losada's not going to be happy with the goal they gave up. But even before that goal, I felt like for the opening 15 minutes or so, it was oh man, this is not what I was promised. I was promised a high press. I was promised a bunch of players going forward, and I don't think we saw that at the beginning, but that's okay because
I don't think you saw that for most of the 90. To be honest,
true.
No, I disagree with that. I think we attacked more in the
I think you saw more going forward, but I don't think you saw a high press. No. Let's counterattack.
It kind of depended on where we were in the field, though, because it felt like when we were in their attacking half, we were really high press and we were really, gunning for the ball. But then, once we kind of crossed that midway point, we stepped back a little bit and we kind of let them have more space, especially in the second half, in and around the top of our box. And I also don't think that was particularly a tactical thing. I think that was more of a fitness thing.
It could be, and I suspect it's going to get better and better as we go. I think the players are going to be pumped with that result, and I think Losada is not going to be super pleased. I think he'll be happy with 3 points, but I don't think he'll be happy because that's not what he wanted to see.
I agree that that's not what he wanted to see, and that's not where he wants the team to be, and he's not going to be happy with that. But he also, in every press conference we've seen, every single question to the point of frustrating Losada has been what are the expectations for the first several games.
No, you're right.
And repeatedly he has said don't expect a whole lot because we're not there yet. So I think the fact that we were able to get 3 points and we're not where he wants us to be, I think will be good. I think our set pieces were phenomenal, right? And that's where we saw goals come from, and that's where we saw a lot of chances come from. Like, I think he will be pleased. It's not where we want to be at the end of it. I think there's a lot of things to work on. There's a lot to take from it, but I think he'll be happy that we got the 3 points.
And to walk away with 3 points from a relatively narrow section of the game. This was not a situation where you were building and building, and then all of a sudden you paid off that effort in the second half. You got those 2 goals relatively quickly after that, giving up the first goal in the first half. You're up 2-1 at halftime. Not a whole lot happens in the second half.
Right.
And that was one of the things we were worried about with the Losada system coming in is, how do you say,
finish a game off,
we're coming in and we've got a lead. How do we finish this game off? Like, we know we want to go forward, but at some point you have to defend.
But it wasn't straight defending, though. I think we were pressing and still attacking, almost finishing the game off by attacking, a balanced attack. And, I don't want to make too many comparisons tonight, and I'm sure we will make plenty of them. but in the previous era, DC United would just bunker at 2-1, and we wouldn't see, maybe we'd see Ola by himself or, Flores making a run, but it was still a continuous effort to play the ball higher up the field throughout the second half. It wasn't a dire effort. We didn't hurt ourselves by doing that at any moment. I didn't feel like it was dangerous, but it was a good balanced approach to see off the end of the game, and I agree with Sam. I think it's a fantastic result. Yeah, it's not full Losada ball, and I don't think, man, if you saw the faces on some of those players, they were gassed and not able to play.
They were.
Absolutely, and I don't even think it was full Losada ball like towards the end of the first half when we were really like gunning for it, and that's when I feel like we had a majority of the momentum of the game. I think that you still kind of saw that there were players who were just a little bit of a touch off.
Yeah.
There were like a step off. Like you could see that they were still kind of driving with it.
I don't even know if it's a step off or it's just the Ben Olsen approach of just play your game. And I feel like I saw some of that creeping into the structure.
I also think we saw so many moments, and you turned to me and said that was off the practice field because everyone's heads were down, but their passes were phenomenal. Like everyone's head was down, and it was a bam, 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 and I think we got like a shot on goal.
Yeah,
and you were like that. They've practiced that.
No, it was from the day, like in the day of Ola Kamara, where they like did a drill where you like kick the ball up 40 yards and you head it to someone, and they knock it around, and it was that kind of style, and it was just refreshing to see tactics and some sort of emphasis.
Well, go ahead, please.
I was gonna say you bring up Ola Kamara. He didn't start today.
Yeah, let's talk about the game.
Well, and that's kind of where I wanted to go, right? I mean, when you look at the lineup for tonight, it was not 100% what we expected. I mean, there's a lot of injuries. The formations and the tactics were about what we talked about in the last show, but Alfaro got a start because Donovan Pines must have picked up a knock in the last couple of days.
Today,
we were not
he,
tracking that he was
tripped on the way to the stadium and
who was signed
out.
This week.
Yeah. Yesterday. Yeah, that was a very, very fast signing.
And Sorga starting up top was kind of what we were thinking was going to happen. Kamara was not. And Kamara was not available in the side, but that threw me for a little bit of a loop, and I almost wonder if that's why they were a little bit off for the first 10 or 15 minutes or so, because New York City FC possessed the ball in the United end for most of the first 10 minutes of that half.
Yes, it was very stressful.
I don't think you can look at it and say that the team was off. Like this was the first time that a game mattered, that you were trying to play what they were trying to do, and they got a result. Yes, at times it looked disjointed, and I expect that we're going to see that moving forward. But to have that environment coming in, and really to have a team that rallied in the first half to get those 2 goals and then see it out, that's a significant difference from what we saw from most of last season.
Right.
For sure.
And remember last year when we were getting loss upon loss, and we were like, but all the injuries. We still have that kind of injury list right now, but we were able to get a result. And so, talking about Sorga, I don't think he starts if Roberta is trained with a team for more than a week, or Ola is fit, or Yordi Reyna is fit. I think there's, and that's just not on Sorga. There's a bunch of different positions across the formation, especially center back, where that comes into
It's a little bit on Sorga. He did not have a good game today. There were send me on Twitter one play where he like won the ball and did something positive. Like he frequently.
Who's that?
He hustled.
Oh,
he hustled. Yeah, no. He definitely worked. You definitely saw that he was like really trying hard, but there were a lot of times when it was like a touch too far, or like he turned the ball into pressure. He turned the ball away from goal and away from like the support that he'd had around him. Like I really don't think that he did a good job tonight.
And I'm gonna be a little bit harsh.
He's a little slow.
He was also pretty slow.
That's the problem.
At least with Sorga, that you noticed that there was effort being involved, and he was involved in plays, even if they didn't come off. How many times last season did we look at our strikers going forward and just forget they were in the game? Period.
Yeah.
Like
that's
not connecting the balls, not being on the intercrosses, not.
I don't think that's a credit to Sorga, though. I think that's a credit to the tactics.
It's very much a low bar to clear as far as what you expect from a striker. But I have a little bit of trouble saying that Sorga had a terrible game.
Yeah,
I think he had a terrible game.
I don't think he had a terrible game, but I do think it's an indictment on the group we have healthy and ready right now that Losada thought he's the starter. And I mean, frankly, Kamara was not available. So there weren't a whole lot of other choices. I would have liked to
see Smith, though. Camardi was tearing it up in the preseason.
I was surprised we didn't see Camardi Smith tonight. I agree with you, Sam.
I was super surprised that we saw, Joshua Perez, the LAFC former LAFC player? Adrian Perez. Yeah, sorry. Super surprised to see him because we have a few options at that left mid position. I thought Smith could have slotted in there. Or
he's a big dude. I saw him on one of the corners they were defending in our end in the second half, and I was like, yo, what position does this dude play? Because he's kind of large.
So I'm going to go to my just one other negative from this game, and then I'll hype up for the rest of the pod.
This is breaking. Sam is going to go negatives. I like this.
Edison Flores was not good tonight.
Oh, I don't know if I agree. Why do you say that?
I think that...
Because he didn't score?
I think that he just did not play make the way he should have, and he also turned over a lot of balls, and I just noticed I thought he had a lot of bad touches.
I would go...
Maybe, I'm not comparing him to most of 2020, though. I'm comparing him to the rest of the team tonight. And in my eyes, Edison and Eric were the two weak points tonight.
Wow.
I don't know if I would say that Edison was a weak point, but he did have a tendency to vanish a bit.
Yeah.
I don't come out of that game looking back and saying, wow, Edison made this thing happen or made this thing happen. He was just kind of there. And I agree with you that for a player that is a DP, is one of your big signings, he needs to have more of an impact on a game than just recognizing that he was present.
And I also think that maybe it's him still learning, the system, and he didn't have a great season last season, so maybe he's still coming into it. But those were kind of my two takeaways of this game, negatives.
I mean, the two goals we scored, both from basically set pieces.
Yeah.
Shots from outside the box. Guys who felt like they had the license to rip it, and they
did.
Definitely pulled
and
it
both
off.
times I was like, don't do that. And then they scored, and I
look, I don't want to throw our inside access out here, but I feel like I heard Losada say before the game, we will not score goals. We will only score golazos. And that's what they did. And the fans loved it.
Let's talk about it.
My God. Those goals were...
Let's go, Brendan. If you're going to take those shots
as
the entire season,
for
I
debut
am
game.
Here for it. Absolutely. Debut game. He freaking ripped it. I was like, don't do that. And then it went in, and I lost my voice. I got a face full of beer.
Yeah, Brandan Hines-Ike wearing Russell Canouse's number from the last couple of years, which threw me off for a few minutes at the beginning. I finally got it sorted, but... I mean, yeah, what a hit.
Yes. Also, I love the celebration with the team, and then both him and we'll get to Russell's in a minute, but they both went and then celebrated with the coaching staff. And that's just what you love to see, right? That talks a lot to what's in the locker room and the type of atmosphere that Losada is developing.
This team, this is a team. I mean, they I think we saw a lot from what we've seen from what the teams put out on social media. I mean, there was a cool video yesterday with Ola Kamara, and then just following a day in the life of the Hernan Losada training style. But yeah, and the first celebration was cool, but the second celebration was where I really lost it. I mean, Canouse with a rocket, and they piled on it. It's like you thought they won the league, and it was like, fam, it's the first half, but you love seeing that.
When was the last time we were leading, though? Like,
yeah.
Hey,
I mean, the last game, but like,
we score 2 goals, we get points.
Yeah, we love it.
No,
yeah, that
great.
was also, I mean, it was so great. You could tell their set pieces are something that was very rehearsed. Like, Joshua and I in the stands were like, oh, this person's taking the set piece. This is where it's going to go. And this is the runner it's going to hit. And this is like the way they're going to try to like play it back into the box. Like, we knew what DC United was about to do, but then they executed that so properly. And the fact that New York City played us in a preseason and then we were like still able to execute those set pieces, I think says a lot to just like how drilled we are and like how well the team knows where everyone else is going to be in those situations.
And you give up a goal in the 15th minute relatively early, but it's not the kind of falling asleep goal that you have seen at points over the last few years where you get 5 minutes in, you're down a goal, and that completely changes the tenor of the rest of the game. It was not a great goal to give up. I'm sure that Losada had words for the team at halftime and postgame, frankly, about how you choose not to pick up folks on the backside and give them opportunity to put that in the back of the net. But to not dig yourself a hole early and to very quickly say, hey, we're going to come back. We're going to go forward. We're going to score goals. It worked.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that was interesting to me tonight, I mean, possession-wise, New York City dominated. I mean, 62% to 38%. That's significant. And they had a lot of the ball. They had a lot of the ball in the first. They probably had all of the ball in the first 15 minutes, which is probably why this stat is the way it is. But this was, to me, guys, this was a very different DC United game than what we're used to seeing, and I think that's exactly what Brandan Losada was hoping for. But I do want to let our listeners know tonight that because of some technical difficulties and some challenges because of the COVID restrictions in the stadium, we do not have access to tonight's post-game press conference. We appreciate the team. They did try to push it to us, but we just didn't have the ability to get it rocking on our end. But we will react to that probably during the week via our social media channels, and we'll try to loop that into the podcast. But if you want to get involved with our show, we have a new number for the 2021 season because, well, look, the 2020 season was trash, so we had to switch up some things.
Yeah.
So you can join the show by calling us at 540-986-4833. That's a lot of numbers, so if you'd like to remember it, it's 540-9-UNITED is how you remember that number. I tried. There weren't a whole lot of options, guys. I know you're laughing at me.
Everyone with your flip-flop